So when I was a VC, something that you would hear a lot among like potential founders is, I don't have an idea or I don't have a problem. And it's not that I think that's not true. I just think that you can take a very structured approach to finding a problem. So here are the 4 things that I considered when picking like a business to start. The first of which is, who do you want to do it with? This is so unbelievably important. You're going to spend more time with your co-founder than you are your life partner in all likelihood, because you see your life partner at night, but you see your co-founder for like 40 plus hours a week. It has to be someone, I can go ad nauseum about this, and like I probably will make a video about like picking co-founders, because I saw this screw over so many startups and so many companies. But the point is, the first thing is you probably should figure out who you're going to work with, even before you think about what you're going to work on. But then the second question is, of course, what are you going to work on? And the process that I took was both my co-founder and I have spent like decades kind of writing down random ideas of businesses that we could start. And that's definitely helpful. It's the right mentality to go and see the world from the perspective of like a business owner or entrepreneur. In other words, you're kind of always seeing problems. So that was like a helpful mindset. But what was really helpful was having a structured rubric on how to evaluate those problems. So I will put like a screen capture here of my rubric, but also I might make a video about this, and then also I can talk a little bit more about why this matters. So first of all, this rubric of evaluating the ideas does have to be specific to you. Some people just like B2B companies, some people like B2C companies. It's not per se better or worse, it's just, again, what like is suitable to you. One factor that I want to point out that I thought was really interesting in my rubric, in the sense that it actually eliminated a lot of ideas, was I wanted to do something that was at worst neutral for the world. At best, like helpful for the world. So this actually narrowed many ideas, because at least based on like my ethical standards, I came up with lots of business ideas where I was like, that's a little sketch for the world. And then there were some big categories that I thought were just by and large kind of helpful for the world. For example, healthcare, food, logistics, energy, security, etc. I'm just kind of pointing that out because I thought it was interesting that that actually really did help narrow that list of ideas. So hopefully this rubric is, and your version of this rubric, is helpful in evaluating at least a direction that you want to initially pursue. Third thing that I think is really important to think about is, how are you going to structure/fund this company? I think a lot of people immediately think, when I want to start a company, I want to start a startup. As a VC, or as a former VC, let me tell you that that is absolutely not true. Startups are a strict subset of business, meaning that all startups are businesses, but not all businesses are startups. In fact, most businesses in the world are not startups. And I think many founders do not actually want to be startup founders. They want to be business owners, and there are lots of different ways to do that. Go look up like search or other things if you're interested in buying businesses, for example. So for example, for our company, it's structured as an LLC and it is bootstrapped. LLCs have a lot of tax advantages compared to C Corps, but they do have some downsides in terms of taking investor capital. That's fine because we are self-funding this company, or we bootstrap the company. So that is an example of how the structure matches what we're trying to do, but the structure does matter. And in particular, I think before people like automatically think of starting a startup, I do think they should really think about, like, are you trying to be under the pressure to grow into a multi-billion-dollar company, or are you just trying to be a business owner? And are you trying to be a business owner by starting one yourself, where you have a lot of control over the culture, etc., but you have to build it up from scratch, or are you trying to buy cash flows and do blah, 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 blah? There's no right or wrong answer, but it is to say that people should probably be more thoughtful about it than they are. Okay, finally, the fourth very important thing to do when starting a company is being able to validate the customer base and the problem. Let me just say that the only signal that matters for starting a business is that your customers are willing to pay you. There are lots of things that are not signal. Investors being willing to invest in you, press willing to speak to you, customers saying that this is such an awesome product but not willing to give you actual money or not going to hand over actual money. That stuff is not real signal, or at least it is not signal the way that people willing to pay you money is. And so if you're going to start a startup, if you're going to start a company, you really have to think about, how do I get in front of customers, literally, and then can I get those customers to pay me such that I can validate that there's a problem that I have, come across that they're willing to pay me for. That is the fourth and very, very important part of things that we considered when starting this company. If you're all interested, I can talk through more how you validate a business problem, because I think that itself is an art, and I think it's actually a lot more repeatable and a lot more of a science maybe than like people kind of generally make it seem, where it seems kind of like magically, like you just have an idea or you don't. I don't think that's the case. But for now, this video is about how do you find direction in your own life, and then also how do you find direction with the initial stages of a business.